Yo, what's happening with niggas? We back at it again, episode 46 of the Real Rap Coalition podcast. Today we reviewing Seven. That's Brad Pitt. That's what's his name? Kevin Spacey. That's motherfucking Morgan Freeman. We like that.
Gwyneth Paltrow in that hoe.
I don't know who that is, but shout out to her.
Yeah, that's a pretty attractive bitch, I think.
But before we get into everything, you know what I'm saying? We're going to go ahead and introduce ourselves. My name is Black Roots, as most of y'all probably know.
It's your boy John Doe, man. I'm much less sick than I was yesterday, man. Let's fucking get it. That's a 7 in my picture, in case you can't tell.
Yo,
you left this to change your picture?
Nah, I tried to get on my phone, and let's just say StreamYard and phones, they need an update. That shit is not lit.
They definitely need an app, bro.
I'm sorry, y'all. That joint right there. I'm sorry, bro. We on the iPhone 14. We on version 14 of this, and we in the beta version of goddamn StreamYard, man. Talk to these niggas.
You gotta go through Safari and shit, bro. I use the Google app for my internet. You know what I'm saying? The only thing I use Safari for.
I'm gonna break this fucking phone. What's good, y'all? Hey,
introduce yourself,
man. Hey, man, it's Bob Celeste. I'm the best. Man, I just watched a wild ass movie. No funny, we gonna talk about it.
Purveyor of movie picks. Tell us why you picked this movie, man.
Last week we watched a movie that was made in 1995, and it was a wild coincidence because I had another 95 movie on the mind. I was thinking it's been a minute since I kind of
wasn't this one.
It was this one.
Oh, okay.
But last week we had Tales of the Hood, which was I hate to say it, but way less caliber than the what we watched for this week. So like.
Why would you hate this shit? That's shit accurate as fuck.
Well, it's what it is.
Episode, so I can't gauge it.
Hey man, no bullshit. The year don't mean shit. It doesn't matter what year a movie came out.
That was the year I was born, man. Big 95.
Hey, well, let's just say they made really shit movies that year, and they made some really good ones too. And I think that's what this movie was. And I heard the hype, but I never watched it for myself. So I want to take the opportunity and watch it.
First things first, man. If y'all haven't already, like, comment, subscribe, share, you know what I'm saying? Ring the bell, all that good shit, man. We've been doing a whole lot of shit, man. We 46 episodes in of a bunch of, like, we really talked about we done watched a bunch of wild, like, different, diverse movies on this show,
Actually.
So, like, salute to everybody that got, some interesting movie picks. I will say, I believe that, this is the last episode we're doing in September, and we've dedicated October to being a month full of horror-themed movies. So, y'all y'all show up for the next month. We're going to be, getting in our scary time bag. You feel what I'm saying?
It's spooky season.
You know what I'm saying? Saw X review coming this weekend, too. That'll be a good way to kick it off. I hate your fucking name, but introduce yourself, man.
I don't need an introduction, man. It's big motherfucking brown John Doe, man. The word.
Well, why didn't you just name it that then?
Yeah, you left out one part of that shit.
You got to do this homosexual rigmarole, man.
Hey, come on, bro. That's just a nickname the female gave me, brother. You know what I'm saying? I can't change it. It is what it is, brother.
70? Niggas said rigmarole.
Rigmarole.
Hey, shout out to anybody who knows the reference I just made there. But all right, so 7, man. Who wants to kick it off?
Luno, you just watched it, so
go ahead, Magunis.
Shit, I don't know if you niggas need a synopsis, but you got this nigga Morgan Freeman, yo. Shout out Morgan Freeman.
Fact.
This is 1995, and that nigga looked old as fuck already.
My whole fucking life.
Bro, swear to God, I've never seen
the man who never ages.
The man who has been aged forever. Like,
Yo,
like
he's been steady.
How you come out the womb old, bro? And just
bro, was Shawshank before this or after this? It got to be before, but like, still, he was old then.
He low key getting younger. I'm not gonna lie.
He was old in Shawshank, but like,
Shawshank
I will say,
Redemption was the year before, yo.
Bro, that fucking Batman Begins took place at least like 7 to 10 years after this, bro, and he looks the same like in that movie.
Insane,
you know what I'm saying?
bro.
Bruce Almighty, all that shit. The man, he's been old forever, but then he just stopped. Like,
I thought just a steady basis right there, dog.
He's a name, vampire, and I think
bro.
He's smooth chilling at 75.
Son, he's cooling at 78. Like this nigga. But look, this motherfucker. The reason why I think he's always gonna be like just like one of those like shoo-ins for these roles is like this nigga just looks like an old sage archetype, son. Like
he's stoic as fuck, bro.
Old sage.
Bro, he looks wise as a motherfucker, bro.
Bro, you can literally just give him
I trust him, bro.
A movie role where it is like experienced motherfucker who has seen some shit and can impart life lessons and give a perspective.
I believe everything you said, KT. I'm not gonna lie.
It's literally just
he
him, bro.
Always seems like that, son.
He won't miss,
bro. Believability on 1,000, dog. Shit crazy.
And in this movie, it was no different. But basically, he's playing a detective this time around. He's inquisitive. He's an old cat or whatever else with a lot of regrets in life and shit. He gets a new dude, Brad Pitt, signs on as his partner and shit like that. This nigga was
the
like
brash young detective.
Yeah, the brash young
Big
detective
bad
who
Brad,
also
bro.
He thinks he's a fucking genius and everything. Like this nigga was just a douchebag, but he plays the role.
Just a douchebag.
I know.
Yeah,
I'm here to make arrests. I'm here to make the streets safer. Like,
yeah, I'm you know, I think I just put the pieces together. He's an idiot. We're gonna catch him in no time. Yeah, it's like, nigga, who the fuck are you?
Fuck all this woke.
Nigga might be slim, bro.
These guys are. He is slim. These guys are crazy. I'm gonna beat their ass. Like, and that shit didn't work out for him either, bro. Like,
this nigga was bugging, son. But look,
yeah,
Brad Pitt, yeah, he was a partner in this shit, and they're basically chasing, in my opinion, like a top 3 like movie villain of all time.
Hey,
shout out Kevin Spacey, bro.
Kevin Spacey is nowadays he is blacklisted because a motherfucker was accused of, I'm not sure if he was found guilty or not, but of doing some wild ass shit. You know what I'm saying? Which is more than fair. But like I will say, as an actor, that motherfucker is ridiculous with his acting range, bro. Like that motherfucker turns in some crazy performances in his time.
Yo, I'm sleep. I gotta watch more numbers to have this dude in there, but one thing that's powerful about this movie is that he had like arguably like the most insane role, but for half of this movie, it was just mention of the nigga. Like it wasn't even him being there, son.
You think it was the aura of him?
Like the way they built it up, the nature of the crimes, his lack of. You
didn't need to see Kevin Spacey. It was the aura of the character that you were being presented.
Yeah, I feel like we knew this man for
he was
half
a
the
menace.
movie. Yeah, and then like
bro,
when we finally get up. Yeah.
My fault. Go ahead.
No. By the time we finally get there, it's like they built it up to such a high point, and now we got the motherfucker, and we still don't feel like we're safe, yo. Like,
yeah, he went and turned himself in, and you're like, "There's no fucking way."
There's no way,
like
son.
I just went because all right. So let's get into this, right? A motherfucker, like all the sins or all the murders that are being committed that they're investigating are based off of the 7 deadly sins. Hence the movie name 7, right? Yeah, it begins. You got they go. You know what I'm saying? They.
Oh, one more thing before you continue. Also, notice that this entire movie takes place over 7 days.
Does it now? I didn't notice because I noticed.
That's why they kept putting up the days.
Yeah, I noticed the days, but I didn't like. By the time I saw it, I'd forgotten what number they had started with.
So like, I was 7 days, 7 deadly sins, and Morgan Freeman's character had 7 days left until his retirement.
Yes. I'll say this, right? Because I might forget to mention it later, right? The aesthetics of this movie are part of what carry it too. I don't know if y'all noticed or not, but except for the ending, where they're like driving along that fucking highway and they leave the city, they go out to the desert. Every scene that you see where these motherfuckers are in the city, it's raining. It's a fucking
it's
shitty
gloomy
ass
as hell.
raining place. Like they present this as like a disgusting cesspool of
Just
filth and like one of the worst places
grim
to
as
live.
fuck,
And
dark.
they present
This
like
is
they
really
said
bad.
that and then they showed it to you. Every time it's fucking raining, it's dark, it's smoggy, there's no sunlight getting in. Like it's a fucking shit place. And
Yo, man,
they communicated that well.
You brought up the sins, and I think that's a good way to break into the topic because the first killing was based on gluttony of those seven sins or whatever, right? And this is where I gotta give the writer some credit, and why this dude is like an amazing villain is because he puts the meaning into the crimes and the creativity to actually do justice to what he's referencing. For gluttony, that nigga literally forced him to eat himself to
kill
death,
might have been
son.
the second worst kill of the movie. Like it might have been the second most brutal one I saw.
I mean,
third.
there's a lot of these that we got to get into, but let's just for a moment, right? Like at the beginning, it's like, yeah, we just have like a whacked out motherfucker, but they saw the signs of intelligence. They tied the motherfucker up and shit like that. He died eating forcibly and shit. You know what I'm saying? He was clearly pressured into doing it.
Let's break it down to the nitty gritty, Luno. A motherfucker put a gun to his head, wrapped barbed wire around his feet so he couldn't go nowhere, he couldn't run away, sat him at a table and made him eat. And it says, the coroner observes over 12 hours he sat there eating. He left and went and made a second grocery trip to get more food. Anytime this motherfucker, he had him throw up in a bucket under the table and then continuously eat until his stomach just could not handle anymore and burst and killed him, yo.
Well, actually, they went into detail with the mortician, or not mortician. Is it a mortician?
The coroner.
Mortician. The coroner. There it is. They actually said that dude kicked him.
That's what it was.
Yeah,
like
he kicked him in his stomach and it burst.
Because he had passed out from eating. Like he passed out a few times,
which is crazy.
So,
bro, the dedication you've got to just stand there and make a fat motherfucker eat for 12 hours straight, bro.
But this is why,
just because of a perceived sin that they have, bro.
Yo, what do we get in this case, yo? Like after they go back to talk about the shit, they circle back. Brad Pitt's attitude out the rip was just Detective Mills. The nigga's attitude was just so wrong.
It's dismissive.
Yo, he was so full of like, okay, let's be fair, right? He showed up, he's like, I'm Detective Mills. I was signed on to be whatever, just transfer here. This nigga's like, what's wrong with you? Why would you transfer here? Like, like what? I never even heard of you. Like, why are you here? Like, and you're getting like fathered mad hard when somebody has to go to the boss and be like, yo, you gotta do something else. This is too much for this nigga.
While you're there, bro, he did that shit in front of him. He was
like,
this ain't for him.
Yeah, that nigga tried to jump in and say, hey, bro, I'm right here. Nigga said, shut up.
Talk to me. Like,
and this is the thing with Morgan Freeman in these wise roles, son. This nigga only needs to see 1 or 2 killings. He went to his boss and he said, you got me fucked up with this case, yo. This is about to last forever, son.
Nah, he said that off the first one, bro. He said that off the first one.
Off the first joint,
he
son.
said, hey, this is a serial killer. I'm not doing this shit. I got 7 days left, bro. Get me off this case.
He said, sorry. Fuck it. You stuck.
And he said, he tried to say, nah, man, it's not one of those. This is a one and done thing. Yeah, all right, nigga. Went right back. Found the evidence of why it's a serial killing. I told you, nigga. Now get me off this fucking case.
Well, I think to be fair, like the second murder had happened at that time. We hadn't gotten to see it on screen, but the second murder is based off of greed. A motherfucker like has killed a lawyer in his office, and we find out later what the fuck had happened. But he's like, okay, so gluttony, greed. He was like, there's 7 deadly sins. He breaks that bitch down. Just mic drops and says, "Yep, I'm done. It's his case." Like, that motherfucker
said he wanted
that shit, bro.
But there's another like sort of reason why like the sins come into play. I feel like, so as I said before about Morgan Freeman, but also you could say about Mills as well. I think those niggas are looking for like atonement for like shit in their past. You know what I'm saying? Like I think with Brad Pitt, like they kind of kept it sort of vague going through. Like you could obviously see things were rocky with him and Tracy or whatever, right? But I feel like there was depth to it. and the way he acted, he was kind of like overcompensating for that shit.
I
You know
feel
what I'm
like they
saying?
kind of like went into detail of like what his I don't know, it's not a villain origin story, but like the baggage that he carries. Like whenever they're riding along in the car and he like asks him about, if he ever like pulled his gun or shot somebody, and he's like, yeah, I had to shoot a guy, because like this cop, got hit such and such, he died, and he can't remember his name. He's like, what the fuck was his name? You know what I'm saying? Like he's
Yeah,
really
it's like
upset about that
it's
shit.
he
typical
repressed that shit.
cop PTSD. Like
Yeah,
that's kind of how they set him up as.
and
Yeah,
then
And that
exactly.
shit bleeds over into your family life, So I think
Morgan
that's where his wife comes in and just how she portrays herself.
Morgan Freeman, Detective Somerset, he's, lived a long career. In the beginning and the ending of the movie both service that, like he's just seen a bunch of shit. But I think like if you want to do the one defining moment, it's the scene like when he's talking in the diner to Gwyneth Paltrow's character, Tracy, and he's like telling her about like how he used to be. And like he mentions throughout the movie a few times that he has a lost love that was not a marriage or whatever, but like however that shit happened, you don't get full details, but they were supposed to have a baby, and he convinced a woman to not keep the baby. You know what I'm saying? And like he said, I know I made the right decision, but if I had a chance to do it again, there would never be a reason I would do that shit. You know what I'm saying? So that's like
Yeah, he said
his
he can't say
fucking,
he don't regret it. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, like
So
that's
so
his
him
thing.
him and this dude Brad Pitt, they got chip on their shoulder. It's easy to say, right? That's why there's so much friction toward the beginning. But I
Mm-hmm.
think as things progressed, both of them were just like sensitized to like how good they might have it overall, or like the value of life and shit. Because both of them come into this pretty nihilistic in their own
Jaded as
ways.
fuck.
Yeah, right. Like now, oh, you were talking earlier about the power rankings of the killing and where gluttony stands. I feel like we
Yeah.
got to run through some more of these killings, because
Yeah,
there's
so
definitely
we had
some
already talked
competitors.
about it, right? Like the lawyer like had died, and you finally get to see it later on. A motherfucker like went into his office, and like for him being greedy, he was like a defense lawyer, that like got people off for horrible ass fucking crimes and shit.
Yeah.
And so like he made him do the metaphorical pound of flesh, but in real life, he had to cut like pieces off himself and put it on the scale, and he would let him go. And I guess he died, doing that shit. So like I'm gonna be honest, like out of everything, like that's kind of gruesome, but that's one of the more tame ones in my opinion.
It's
You know?
tame, but I guess we got to kind of give credit to like the style, right? Because
Well,
if you're
this was
looking
in
at, yeah.
'95, bro. Like that shit, was probably fucking wicked back then too.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's not even like a time thing. I think it's more like it was the style of the killing. Every time that he tries to provide like the holy retribution for these people's sins, he does it in some way that like plays or parodies on the theme of their sin. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So for that motherfucker, he did something for like greed, because he makes people's lives hang in the balance because he's greedy for money. So he
Yeah.
said, now you're gonna tip the scales with your literal like flesh and shit,
And
son.
that is the other thing is that like on one side of the scale would be the ill-gotten money, so you have to balance it out, like with the
Yeah,
offering of flesh and whatnot.
Yeah.
exactly.
Um,
It's I forget where exactly it comes from. I'm pretty sure it's biblical, but he actually made
it is.
him shave off a pound of his own flesh. Like, bro, man, that's a saw trap for your ass, bro.
It
Like,
is, bro. That
you're
we've been
tied
watching
up.
all the Saw
They
movies, and that
gave
was
you a
literally
knife
a Saw
and
trap. Like,
said, cut off, and it no bone, no gristle, none of that shit. Don't chip nothing. All flesh, my nigga.
Roots, that was
Figure
literally
it
a
out.
Saw trap in one of the movies. Like, that's an opening Saw trap. Motherfuckers are like locked in a joint, and they gotta like cut, pound of flesh. But like a bitch ends up winning because she cuts her whole fucking arm off.
Shit.
But like, you know what I'm saying? This dude
That's
like is a
actually
fat dude.
this is the third time we're seeing that, because they did the same shit in what is it? The Matthew
Oh
what is
yeah,
it?
yeah. The gentleman.
The gentleman. Yeah. He
But
had he made a nigga do that shit too. So like
yeah.
that's like a common
Mm-hmm.
thing.
But yeah, so like that's the second one. A side plot that's running, is that Detective Mills and Tracy, they've moved in, and they're like having trouble acclimating to the city. Detective Somerset goes and has dinner at their house. They live in a kind of a shitty apartment that is under a fucking subway. So like they're
Which
like
has to fucking suck. Like I have fucking 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 helicopters going over my house every fucking 3 hours of every fucking day, and it vibrates my house just a little bit. Just a little bit. Like you won't even notice unless you're like in a bathroom and the door's closed and the door starts shaking a little bit. These motherfuckers have to pick their glasses of wine up to keep them from jumping over.
They be sleep.
Because
Imagine
they're
you
right
be
under
sleep,
that bitch.
bro, and a train just run over your house while you sleep, dog.
Bro, bring me the real estate agent, bro. I need to fade him.
Shit, I gotta know. Like, I still gotta know where he's at, bro. Like, there's the, you know what I'm saying? I know who you are, you know? Like, I'm
nigga
gonna find you.
Yeah.
But yeah. So like, you know, they exchange kind of pleasantries and, you know, talk about some shit. Over the course of time, you know, like Tracy kind of develops an attachment, I guess is the right word, to Detective Somerset. You know, being Mill's partner.
I think it's more like a admiration.
I don't know if I would say it's admiration because I feel like it's mutual. I feel like it's platonic. It's a friendship level type of thing. Like she views a connection in some sort because like she tells him to make sure that, you know, Mills stays safe. You know, at a point they go to the diner and she tells him that she's pregnant and, you know, she hasn't even told Mills that she's pregnant and like is looking for advice and whatnot. You know, like maybe it's like Luno said, maybe she just views him as this sage wisdom character. You know,
it could be. I think honestly, well, one thing for me is just like, so it might not be the case, and I could be reading too much into it, right? But like, who's to say that it's actually Mills's like kid that's like inside her, yo?
That's an interesting.
Why would it not be? What the
fuck? So
that's
something
an interesting theory. I'll say, Roots.
Something struck me actually toward the end of the film, and I'm sorry for leaping, right? But this was when they said they were going to finish the case. You know, they took his conditions and they were going to drive him, right? But beforehand, they were oddly shaving their chests with each other. But they're just having a conversation, and this is arguably the most like close moment that they've had, right? But Mills makes this remark, you know, I gotta head home. I gotta stop going home so late. You know, my wife might think something's up. And then out of nowhere, he has this like burst of emotionality. Like he says, you know, and it's like he's about to like either burst out into tears or make some sincere confession, but he walks off with it. And this doesn't really get substantiated, you know.
And I hate that. I hate how they did that. Like, nigga, why would you I don't think we know enough about this character for that to happen and it not be resolved.
So, that's a fair point, Luno, but I will say that if that is the case, I don't know if I think that the ending would be justified then of like his overwhelming anger, you know, because if that is the case and like he were to know that it were not his child, I think that like that the addition of her being pregnant, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think that would have affected him as heavily.
Right. Well, look, so the thing is that I think that maybe it could be the case that between both of them, like she did cheat on him before something, you know, that's one possibility.
Okay.
Or it could be the case that he doesn't know that he was like cheated on. But the reason why she's using
or perhaps he was cheating on his wife after all, man.
It could be, right? But look, when there's a couple that loves each other, there's like no reason really for like keeping the secret. So if she's pregnant, she should probably just be able to say it.
Well, she says, this is the thing, and this is what I was referring to about his PTSD and her knowing the extent of his job. And I experienced this sometimes between me and my wife too. My wife will like not tell me something just because she doesn't want to pile on with whatever the fuck else is going on. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it'll be like
she's protecting you from something.
Exactly. And I fucking hate it. It's really fucking annoying. I'm like, don't fucking do that shit. But it's understandable. You know what I'm saying? The act of wanting to protect your loved one from further stress is a very noble act. You know what I'm saying? So I completely understood her not wanting to tell him, because then let's say you it's like what what's his name, Somerset, said whenever they were having the conversation. He had a fear when he returned to work that he didn't have before. You know what I'm saying? And he only explained how can I raise a child in this? But there's also that I have to make it back home because it's not just one person I'm making it back home to, or it's not just one person I'd be leaving here if something were to happen to me. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a thing that fathers like endure all the fucking time.
Oh,
That
so
just
you
that
think like maybe
paranoia
she
of
ended up telling him?
what you mean?
Because Somerset had the conversation with Tracy in the diner, right? So anything that follows after that, it's unclear whether or not Tracy actually did tell him. So if
Well,
you
no,
think
I
of
think
it,
it's pretty clear that she didn't because of his reaction whenever he said when what's his name, John Doe said and the baby inside her, he froze. He was like, "What?"
oh yeah. So okay, yeah, right, exactly.
So he had no fucking idea.
No, but so okay,
that is insane, yo.
yeah, that's a fact. All right, so the third murder, comes as a result of like, they have a suspect who the fuck they're chasing, some guy like he deals drugs, he done fuck some kids, like he's a real, piece of work and shit.
Yeah.
And so, they finally are able to track him. They go run a SWAT team in that bitch, and they find like his apartment. They kick the door in, run in there, and find a basically mummified body, chained to a bed, right? And like this motherfucker is just horrendous. Like the smell is horrible. He got car fresheners all over him to like try to cover the smell. Like a motherfucker's got like all types of waste disposals, such as like catheters and things of that nature, antibiotic IVs, like a blindfold on and shit. And then like a motherfucker from the SWAT team leans in and said, got what you deserve. That motherfucker starts freaking the fuck out. And they're like, oh shit, he's still alive. Jesus Christ. Get like, so this motherfucker, like Luno, this was the other one I was talking about. Like this might be the worst one. There's still one more we could talk about, but like this right here, come to find out that motherfucker had been locked to that bed, for the sin of sloth.
Yep.
And he was locked to that bed for a year straight, bro.
Mm-hmm.
There's pictures of him, decomposing over time. The motherfucker is blind, like due to not being able to have any light for the longest time. Like motherfucker's muscles have all atrophied. Like you're basically nothing anymore. But he just kept that motherfucker alive for a year straight, bro. Just bed sores and wounds, dog.
One thing that I wanted to comment. I'm not sure I fully understand this sin. Like, I understand the act or the punishment, right?
Yeah.
Sloth means laziness. You're locked to a bed. That makes sense.
You're not
You know
understanding what he did to get there.
Exactly, because I sound like he put in a good bit of work if he did all this shit to go to jail.
But like, okay, so like in our our viewpoint, our culture that we've been raised around, drug dealing is classified as hustling. You know what I'm saying? But in the world of like, regular ass, corporate citizens, drug dealing is something that you do lazy. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't want to get a job, so you're gonna go sell crack. That shit's not easy. Like y'all think it is, but that shit's not fucking. It's not easy to cook and sell crack or meth. Like what the fuck?
Like
that's an occupation where you have to actively keep from getting arrested, like keep from getting caught,
not
keep
beyond
from getting robbed.
Like there, you know what I'm saying? There is processing, creation, distribution, maintaining contacts, trips that have to be taken, etc.
Yeah, well, look, from the perspective of quote unquote upstanding society, right?
Exactly.
The idea is that if your discipline isn't pointed towards being on the up and up, on the right side of things, then you're considered like lazy for it.
Yeah.
And that might be the view he's invoking.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, like and I can understand why people might feel that way, like moralistically. They might just be saying,
I can definitely see John Doe feeling that way.
Because look,
that makes
if you think of it like, like crime is like when you give in to like your worst passions instead of just like subverting them so you could be a principle. You know what I mean? Like if that's it, that's one thing. The other thing really could be that it's just a knee slapper joke by the killer, where maybe he just said like a lazy person would just be up in bed all day, and he did it for a year. Like it could just be the case that he was just making, just pissing on this guy's life.
There's
Basically,
maybe like there might have been some details that I missed, like
because one thing is this, like he made some like kind of moral claims at the end, but throughout this, like he has no moral compass. He's really a grandiose like narcissist who thinks like he's a chosen one. So it's not like these have to be necessarily retributive acts. He just thinks that he's acting on account of some god.
I think that they're retributive acts. I think that they're like thought out moral things. But I do agree with you. I think it's just
it makes
like,
a lot of sense. Actually,
it's narcissism, bro. It's a motherfucker. Like he is vigilante justice. He sees a motherfucker and is like, hey, you're out here fucking off with your life. Somebody can make you pay for that shit, and it's happening today.
I just want to comment real quick. It's so the act is horrendous, of course. However, the thought process, especially how he went into detail about it, where we just walk around and see people throwing their life away and just move on. You know what I'm saying? Like it makes sense to feel that way about, especially how things are now. Like motherfuckers see somebody who's a woman who's obese and is like, oh, you're beautiful, keep eating, things of that nature, or seeing a parent just never fucking disciplining their kid and doing this soft parenting bullshit, counting and shit like, Tommy, you better get down, I'm gonna count to 5, shit like that. We see shit like that, but nothing's done about it. It's not spoken about even. And if you are speaking about it, you're condemned. You know what I'm saying? So the thought process behind it makes total fucking sense to me. However, he's still a piece of fucking shit.
Yeah, I'm gonna get into this when we talk about like the shit towards the ending, but I have somewhat of a controversial opinion, I think, about this shit, right? But I'm gonna save it for a little bit. Luno, did you have a point you wanted to make before we move on?
Just briefly, just to sum up on kind of whether or not he's like trying to do some sort of justice, right? To me, I think this is somebody who's obviously really fucked up. He's really intelligent, well educated, as like the FBI identified. They basically just gave the profile and they said, this is an educated, person. He knows a lot, and he's definitely insane. And I think that was definitely true. He's obviously went through something where people's vices were like some sort of cause of harm to him. He could have been raped. He could have been abused when he was young or something like that, right?
Yep.
So he might take it upon himself to just look for the vices in other people, right? Because if we're going to make the argument it's retributive, I want to point our attention to pride. I mean, the woman was just beautiful, right? And she must have been like popular or a model or something like that. But he basically puts her in a situation where either she disfigures her face, but she gets to live, or she ends herself.
Yeah, I know what you're talking. Yeah, I was about to ask if you were talking about her.
Right? Yeah, exactly, right? It's just like, and then when he's in the car and he's basically saying like how she deserved it, all he could say was, she's somebody who would have rather died than disfigured her face painfully and still lived. It's like, nigga, that shit's gonna feel like shit. Like, what do you mean? I don't
know, Luno, because like I don't know if that's actually the case. I'm gonna wait till we get to her.
Bro, like, cut my face. Cut my face. I don't want to die.
So,
cut my fucking face, bro.
Right. So like after this shit, right? They finally get a lead. You know what I'm saying? A motherfucker. First things first. Like the paparazzi. They run up the stairs. They trying to flash cameras on like the crime scene and all this shit. Mills is finna beat Buddy ass. He like breaks his camera and some more shit. You know what I'm saying? But they get a lead. They get a lead where they're like, okay, I think we finally found this guy. This John Doe character. They run up to his apartment or whatever the fuck, and Somerset's trying to tell Mills that they can't get in that hole without a warrant type shit. And so he tells him that I fuck this warrant. Brash cop stuff.
Yeah.
During this time, they see, John Doe walking with a fucking, I think it's a bag of groceries or whatever, and they see him and give chase to him. It's a pretty good chase scene. I'm not going to lie. During this watch of my movie, I didn't pay as much attention to the chase scene. I had something going on, but like,
yeah,
for all intents and purposes, this was a good chase scene.
I'll go into it, into detail a little bit of it. So they pull up on the house and shit, or the apartment, and they're having a little conversation about it as they're approaching and shit. They knock on the door, nobody answers. Some trench coat, top hat nigga appears at the end of the hallway. with a bag of groceries. And it's the generic bag of grocery shit is just hilarious to me because it's like a breadstick sticking out or whatever the fuck, and you can see
the fucking
it was
baguette.
funny as hell. Yeah, it was funny as hell. Fucking brown bag and shit. He fucking drops that bitch, ups a Glock, shoots the fuck out of the hallway and shit. Fucking misses, of course, because nobody gets shot in this because they fucking suck. But so then they start, giving chase or whatever. And at this point, I kind of thought that there was something going on between Brad Pitt's character, Mills, and John Doe. Because in my eyes, he had a shot a few different times and he just didn't take it. And so I couldn't tell if he was either trying to, if he did shoot, make it safe as possible, or this is just all a show. You know what I'm saying? Because there was a couple of hints that kind of made me feel that Mills was in on it in the beginning of it. When they came to the explanation on why he came to New York in the first place. You know what I'm saying? So, they go on this chase and shit, and they're fucking jumping out of windows and all that extra shit. Get down to the end of the chase, and Brad Pitt gets his fucking ass kicked.
Bro,
Nigga
he
jumps
beat
out.
the shit out.
Yeah, nah, he beat the hell out, boy. Like that shit was not fair at all. Like I can't tell if John Doe is really good
like that,
with his hands, or Mills, or is just fucking terrible. Like he can't fight for shit. But like
he can talk a good game, but he got beat the fuck up.
He got beat the fuck
no
up,
funny
bro.
though. Like every time that this dude John Doe took a shot, I feel like honestly he could have died for that shit, bro. Like ain't no way. Like I agree with Roos. This man had a clear shot, yo. There's no way he missed that shit, son. Like every time he took a shot at this dude,
his forehead, bro.
I mean, besides that shit, and I think there at the end, like, yeah, gives credence to the point that it was like kind of like a game or a rouse he was doing. But nah, he most definitely could have killed this man or at least wounded him, yo. Like, especially when he jumped out the window and then he pokes his whole head out the window like a dumbass, yo. Right there, I thought he was finished, son.
Oh yeah, headshot. I thought it was gonna be a head tap right then and there.
You got the rain
fucking
aesthetic, you know what I'm saying? The rain's running down his face. He's fucked up. He got a gun in his head. Somerset's watching. It looks like it's gonna be over with, bro.
And you can see, bro. Brad Pitt is such a phenomenal actor. It's ridiculous. Like you can see without him saying anything, him going over his life in his head as his gun is pointed at his fucking skull. Like you can see it on his face. You know what I'm saying? And then but the body acting of him being in agonizing pain after John Doe left, and then go from that to his just complete rage after all of this shit done happened to him, and he's like, "Nah, bro, I'm kicking the door in. Fuck this shit, bro. Nah, hell no. Fuck a fucking warrant. Fuck this nigga." Like he's not trying to hear none of that shit.
Like you hurt now because you got your ass beat. You know what I'm saying?
Of course his fucking wrist broke.
I'm about to say that's kind of some bitch ass shit, bro. You thought you was Billy Badass and a motherfucker put them paws on you. Now you mad you want to kick those down and shit. Like
yeah, for real.
You wasn't tough when that Glock was to your temple, man. Get the fuck.
Yeah, he called him out crazy on that shit later on too, yo. Like this dude John Doe definitely was bad. He was talking that shit and he wasn't even lying, son.
Nigga, that was a Geechee third. He was talking to him, bro. Like that nigga. Just remember every time you look at your face that I broke in the mirror, that I saved your fucking life.
Yeah, like
your life was in my hands,
you can live with
and
this, bro.
I saved you.
And that's the thing I've heard before, bro. Like motherfuckers, like that it's more powerful to leave a scar on a person than it is to kill them because now you have to remember me every time you look at that scar type shit. You know what I'm saying? But so they, Brad Pitt and them, they kick the dough down, like a dickhead. He pays off a cluck to tell a story to the fucking cop and shit. You know what I'm saying? And like they find a whole bunch of shit. They find out that he was the photographer at the scene,
which is cold as fuck.
That was crazy,
like,
son.
He's got journals, John Doe got 3-ring. This this is back then in '95. He got fucking 3-ring binders and like spiral notebooks full of just his thoughts of people. You know what I'm saying? He talks about being on the train and a motherfucker's talking to him about some shitty things in life, and he's just so tuned out and repulsed by a motherfucker that he throws up on him type shit.
And started laughing.
Yeah, like it's just fucking sick.
Which, how much of a pussy do you have to be to get thrown up on and then laughed in your face?
Hell
You
yeah.
cannot beat the ever loving shit out of the. I don't fuck your sickness, bitch. I don't give a fuck about your mental illness, your stomach ache. I'm about to, bro. That's the same as spitting on somebody, bro. He should have beat the hell out of that boy.
Yeah, but yeah. So now they like he gets a phone call. And John Doe basically says, like, all right, now I got to up my timetable. Good job for finding me. You know what I'm saying? But this shit ain't over yet. Games are just beginning.
And then literally right after, nigga went ahead and dropped another body.
Hell yeah. So, right. Mills and Somerset, they pull up to what is essentially a whorehouse, at least, or like a place where a motherfucker can at least take the whores that they buy.
This was the worst one.
And this is possible. This might be the worst one.
This I don't know, bro. This one right here.
So right, like so Buddy goes in there, like they went and talked to a guy at like a sex shop, and he's like, hey, have you seen something like this? He was like, yeah, there was a guy in here, I made it for him the other day. He's like, you made some shit like this? He said, yeah, man, people buy some sick shit all the time. But so they
tried to. That's what pissed me off about him.
He wanted the drawing back, Roots.
He wanted to put it on them, like, yeah, they request this shit. I just make it. Bitch, you make it. How about that?
Roots, that motherfucker was mad that they was taking the drawing with him, bro. He was like, hey,
can I have the picture back? The picture. Bitch, fuck your picture, you fucking weirdo. I should have a fucking warrant put on this place and have it searched.
So he found what I assume is a businessman, who had like consulted a prostitute for her services. And so he walked in there, up the banger on that bitch, said, hey, put this shit on and fuck that hoe. And so Buddy did,
gosh,
what I'm saying? And it's basically, you don't get to see it yet. So they're in the interrogation room, and he's interrogating, Somerset's interrogating the guy at or Mills is interrogating the guy at the front desk. Somerset's interrogating the fucking guy who,
who worked the window. He worked the window.
Yeah. Who like did he's interrogating the guy who did the fucking, and the guy who did the fucking, I think that was kind of like, I don't know.
Hey,
like I get it, like you almost died, but he was kind of overselling it, bro.
Nah,
you're being a bitch,
bro.
The fucking gun was in my mouth. Shut the fuck up, bro.
Listen. Shout out. This is my opinion. Shout out to that nigga. I'm not about to go and look for who the fuck he is, but that nigga sold the fuck out that shit, boy.
Yeah.
That nigga, I was like, damn, this nigga's fucked up.
Hell yeah, bro. Like, hold on 1 second.
Yeah, I don't know. I was kind of the opinion that he oversold it a little bit, but it was only because like there was a way he could have gave less in the energy department, it did more in the sincerity department. That's just me. He did some fucked up shit though, so of course it's gonna be justified on paper. Like, yeah,
I think it's the fact that he was forced to do so. He was basically forced to kill a female in the worst way.
Yeah, well, him freaking out that like, bro, he made me fuck a bitch to death. That's 100% understandable, right? Okay, so here's what we can talk about it. The apparatus, it slips over a motherfucker's shit, and you fuck a bitch with a blade, basically. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm the first time I was always under the assumption that the blade went inside the bitch, but maybe like you're just fucking the bitch and it's stabbing her. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, maybe it's not just going straight in the dead bitch pussy type shit. But like, I don't know.
I think that's exactly what
the fuck was happening. Oh my god, yo.
But so this might be the worst one. Like,
yo.
So like he made a man fuck a prostitute to death. You know what I'm saying? And freak the fuck out. But
fucked.
So yeah, and they're like, oh yeah, like he really meant this shit. He's really just fucking with us and shit. Like they're frustrated, man. They've been trying to do all this detective work and shit, and it's just not working, man. They
real
get
quick,
called.
one thing that I appreciate about Morgan Freeman's character is his stoicness. I know we mentioned it earlier, but throughout this whole thing, probably the most frantic you've seen him was at the end. You know, other than that, he was the voice of reason for everything. You know what I'm saying? Like for every moment that Mills is freaking out, he's always there to, hey, bro, like we're gonna catch this motherfucker. Like, calm down. It's gonna be okay.
Mm-hmm. And well, he tries to tell Mills earlier because Mills is out there talking crazy about this John Doe character, and Somerset's like, "Hey, bro, the worst thing you can do is just look at this motherfucker like he's
he's a nut
in his own shit, crazy. You know, like this is a motherfucker who's calculated, he's patient." And Mills trying to tell him, "Bro, fuck this guy, bro. He's a fucking nutcase, and this shit, is we finna just smoke this scumbag."
Hey, I thought of something that Brad Pitt did. So every time they got to one of these scenes, he's just over the top pissed off. Like it just gets worse every single time. But at the when they go back to try to look for more clues after the greed incident, right?
Yes.
They hand the wife the pictures or whatever for her to look through the shit. And she notices that the picture is upside down. So they go in there and they're looking around. They don't really see shit. And Brad Pitt character says, "This guy's fucking with us. He's fucking with us." And he puts his hands on the table. It says, "This is us." I'm like, dog, this nigga is pissed, like beyond anything else.
That shit. He said, "This is us right now." Like that shit was definitely funny. But so the fifth, right? Like I don't think much substantial. Like we're kind of out of order, but like I don't think a whole lot substantial happens before the fifth body drops. Fifth body drops. They go find, they find a woman in her house, and like she's laid up. She got a phone glued to one hand, a bottle of pills glued to the other, and her face is all fucked and bandaged. Right? You know what I'm saying? Basically, like a motherfucker. John Doe went in that bitch, cut that bitch nose off, fucked her face up horribly, and said, "All right, you got two options. You can call the ambulance and they can come save your life, and you can live, disfigured, or you can take all these pills and take the easy way out and shit." And like that is, the vanity. You know what I'm saying? What is it? Pride? Was that pride? That was what he called it. Yeah. Hey, yo, y'all good?
Yo, can you hear me?
Yeah, I was just making sure because I didn't hear nothing. All right, so yeah, I think that was pride. I don't agree with what Roots said. Well, I agree with what Roots said. Like, I don't agree with what Luno said. Like,
about this one being like somebody who deserved it.
Yeah, because I don't remember her backstory, but there was some shit where she was just like a vain model type bitch. You know what I'm saying? Like she was like supposedly like prideful or whatever the fuck. And a motherfucker like cut your face up, bro. That is ass, bro. Like that's horrible. But like you gonna kill yourself instead of like having to live with it. You know what I'm saying? Like there's much worse stuff that could happen to you, man.
I think that is the pride.
It is.
Or at least that's what they're trying to convey is
100%.
that she was so prideful of her looks that she rather die.
Yeah, she would rather. Yes, and that proves his point. I feel like But like I definitely don't like agree that was just kind of random or whatever. But so they go back to the go ahead.
Yeah, I'm trying to think whether or not that I agree that she deserved it so much as like I feel like she was definitely
she deserved it, but it proved his point. I feel like she just kind of proved him right.
But the thing is like we can have like it's not really a sinful desire to be like attractive or whatever or like to brag. Like yeah, bragging might impose on others or people might be jealous or some shit, but like you should be able to just be like, yeah, I got money, yeah, I look good, all this other shit. Like why not? It's like, so for me he's just like pretentiously pointing out that people are prideful and saying like, yeah, it's one of these sins, but it's just like, yo, like,
no, that's a fair point. Like he's a narcissist. He believes that he can judge people for their sins. Like so. like some shit to us where we're like, I don't know, man, is that really that bad? He's gonna look, yes, like.
While he
But
does arguably some of the wildest and most inhumane shit
correct.
ever, son.
Yep. Like pretty much every death that we've named here, like, is just some fucking horrible shit, bro. Like, it's not just regular deaths. These are horrible ways to die. Like, it's not just up in a blick and shooting a motherfucker or stabbing a motherfucker to death. You know, like these are creative ass shit that he must have planned out for a while. But so they go back to the detective, you know, to the police station. The detectives, they're walking up. They're like, yeah, we're going to catch this guy. Don't worry. He's going to slip soon. And you see a motherfucker step out of a cab, walk in the building, and he trying to get their attention. He yelling, detective, detective. That boy yells, detective. And they turn around. That motherfucker said, I think you're looking for me. He hold up his bloody ass hands. He got blood all over his shirt. You know, a motherfucker like Mills, he run down and he's talking crazy to this motherfucker. Get on the ground, you piece of shit. Such and such. Fuck you. All
Put your nose in the floor. Yeah.
Yeah, you know. But so, like, come to find out, mystery man John Doe, Kevin Spacey, is in the building. He done cut all the tips of his fingers off so they can't identify him by fingerprints. He been doing that shit forever. You know what I'm saying? He turned himself in, and he's working with his lawyer trying to get a deal where they're gonna plead insanity, you know, or he'll sign a full confession, but he wants to take the detectives out to the place where like two more victims are, and he wants like whatever his fucking negotiations were, I guess. Um, they agree, you know, despite like not wanting like that shit to go like that. But this is where them motherfuckers, they go in there and they're shaving their chest to wear a wire and shit, a microphone. So they decide to go on a journey out to the desert, and right here is where Kevin Spacey shines within the whole movie, bro. This, and it's longer than I remember it being. Paused. This segment lasts for like a good probably 10 minutes or so. They're just having a conversation on a road trip. They're discussing motivations, ideals, narcissism, you know, hypocrisy between the three men, etc. Like it's a great example of character work. And I think Kevin Spacey, John Doe's character, right? And this is the controversial opinion I have. I think he was such a good villain because like he's a fucking sick sociopath. He did some horrible ass shit. But he wasn't wrong. With what he was saying, he wasn't wrong. We are, as a society, incredibly apathetic to horrendous shit because we've desensitized things by letting, you know, there's nothing wrong with letting people live their life, especially if it's not affecting you. But, you know, he's presenting like a motherfucker was like, you're killing innocent people. He's like, these people aren't innocent. This one guy sells drugs and fucks kids. This other guy, he's a piece of shit lawyer who gets criminals off by lying. This other motherfucker, you know, like this bitch killed herself rather than be ugly. Bro, like listen to these fucking people, you know? And I think that like him explaining his motivations and also pointing out the hypocrisy, you know, like within like, you know, Mills is trying to fuck with him. He's like, "Oh yeah, you're just a freak, you know, like he thinks he has upper hand on him and he just keeps flipping the script on him and shit." And I think that like this
and
kind of solidified his character.
I like how he was saying all the shit that he was saying, you know, conveying his point, and he saved that point that we were talking about earlier about him basically saving his life or sparing him. He saved that to put the last part. He's like, "Oh yeah, just so you know," type shit, like that nigga is cold, bro. Like this might be the sickest motherfucker in the history of villains in anything, bro. Like. This is worse than Thanos, bro.
Bro, by this
he did that shit with style, son. Like he didn't even like need to like. He had the creative image and he sold on that shit just for shits and giggles, yo, and handed himself in, yo. I just don't. There's nothing like that I can recall.
That's what
like,
he tells them through this shit too, Luno. Like a motherfucker was like, "We would have caught you eventually." He's like, "Oh, what were you fucking with me? Were you toying with me? How were you gonna get?" He was like, "Well, we found you at the." He was like, "We found you at your apartment, didn't we?" "Oh yeah, that's when I put the Glock to your dome, huh?" That motherfucker was just like, "Bro, you got me because I wanted you to get me. Like, stop pretending you really like that."
Did some shit for real, yo.
Which
But
he's a fucking narcissist, but like he backs it up with like facts. Like
Luno,
niggas said, bro, I am one of the coldest niggas that y'all have ever caught, and the only reason y'all caught me is because bitch, I let you.
facts. Luno, like, but what you were saying, like, he had this whole imagery, and by this point, there's like probably 10 minutes left in the movie, and you're like, okay, so that's 5 of the deadly sins. He's gonna bring you to 2 more bodies. All right, so what are the last 2 gonna be? You're wondering how the movie's gonna end because you realize that the clock is ticking, and like, what the fuck? There's no end in sight. You know what I'm saying? Like, what they're gonna take him to prison? I guess. All right, well, that was a whole lot for nothing. But so they go like way out in the desert. They got a chopper over them, watching him and shit. And so they park and like they see a truck in the distance. And Somerset runs off to the truck. It's a motherfucker, he let a shot off and a motherfucker, he stopped the van. He get out that bitch. He's got to deliver a package to Detective Brian Mills. And he says, get the package out.
Son.
He says, get the package out. He's like,
Bro, this
all
part is
right, bet.
so
He drops that bitch. He says, hey, take off. He sent a motherfucker running out the desert. And then he told the cops go pick him up once he gets out the desert. Like,
that nigga really got hold. Like
he opens that
he
box.
got hold for no reason. Like he was just doing a job.
That box, bro. And like this was like one of, like we talked about, the wise, unshaken. No, he was shook.
He was shooketh.
That motherfucker, he looks over and they're having a conversation the whole time. John Doe is just fucking with Buddy. And he's trying to tell him, he's like, I envy you, detective. I really like, I'm jealous of you. And Somerset sees this bitch. He starts running back. I'm talking, he's on a full-on sprint. 67-year-old Morgan Freeman is a full-on sprint down the highway of a desert trying to get back to his partner. And so, John Doe tells him, he says, I went to your house while you weren't there today. I tried to play the loving husband and whatnot. She wasn't really going for it. I guess, that's just something wrong with me. He was like, but it's all right, though. I took myself a souvenir. He says, her pretty little head. Oh, my God.
Nigga's disgusting, bro.
Bro, like, the coldness of this nigga, bro. And he's stoic himself. Yeah, his emotion doesn't raise often, maybe once.
Yeah, I'm about to say, like, when he's talking about the perceived sins, that like he'll get upset about that.
Either that or when he feels disrespected about his work.
Yes.
That's it. Other than that, this nigga is stone faced, bro. Like down to anything. He's staring at the person who he just took everything from.
Bro, hey, hold on a second.
It didn't blink.
Bro, so Somerset's trying to tell him, put the gun down. He wants you to do this, drop the gun. He's like, he keeps asking him, he's like, what's in the box? What's in the fucking box?
What's in the box?
Yeah, he says, oh, come on. Like he's lying. He's got to be lying. He said, that boy Somerset, he tells me, he's like, something. He's like, I killed your wife. He was like, shut up. He was like, such and such, all this. He was like, her and the baby inside. He said, shut up. He pimp hands him and shit.
Bro, he backhand the shit out of that nigga.
That motherfucker slapped the shit out of him, bro. And the look in his face, bro, he looks in his eyes. He said, oh, he didn't know she was pregnant. That boy Somerset just looks in the sky. He knows it's over. He's like, God damn it. Like, and he's trying to like tell him not to do this, bitch, bro. And the whole time John Doe has revealed himself. He's like, I guess envy was my sin. He's number 6. Right. And he's, he says he's trying to make you the sin of wrath. Bang. 3 shots in the chest, son. Boy. He aired it.
Nigga, it was more. He emptied that clip.
That's what I'm saying.
He emptied that motherfucker.
He dumped that bitch. He creates his own 7th sin. And you know what I'm saying? He ruined somebody else's life.
Nigga raged out.
Bro, he playing 5.
Yo, this dude Brad Pitt said, he said, when that shit pops off, I'll be right next to you. So you make sure to let me know now. He said, don't worry. You're not gonna miss it, son.
Let me tell you something, Luno. Let me explain to you the gravity of this situation. This man, through intricate months of planning, a year at minimum, because one of the victims was being kept alive for a year at minimum, he enacted a plan where he murdered 5 people with perceived sins that he thought did not deserve the gift of life. Throughout his plan, he planned on himself being the 6th and an eventual victim unless his plan failed, which there was no way it could have. And the 7th being a headstrong detective who had just transferred to the city and not been there for a while yet. That motherfucker had just gotten into town and he planned on killing his pregnant wife, having the man kill him, and ruining his detective career. Also, he would not go to prison, be remembered as a folk legend because of all these murders and like the shit that's gonna make national headlines, and be able to like show how corrupt the police force is and make the people lose faith in a
Which,
hope
oh
that they
my
would wake
God,
up,
that's
bro.
so fucked,
Like
bro. Like
this is
how trash is your fucking paycheck for you to sell out one of your own? Like they always talk about this blue line shit. You know what I'm saying? Like the police are the biggest gang in the world. You know, they're brothers, they're all in the war together and all this other shit. But your bitch ass sold out a brand new detective, someone who's just there simply to do his fucking job. You sold him out for how much? He
who are
gave
you
dude
talking
to bring a
about?
box. The motherfucker that sold out meals.
Well, like, okay, so like that shit, a motherfucker, because like John Doe was pretending to be a member of the media, and he was like, it's surprising how easily it is to be a member of the media and get information on a police officer. You
Whoa,
know
he
what I'm
said
saying?
pay
God.
police officers for information.
Hell yeah. Because they had
He
just paid a
said
motherfucker
pay
earlier
police
in that
officers.
bitch, bro.
Bro, he
Like,
only paid the box dude $500. So how much did he pay you for some words?
that shit, like, yeah, like this right here, people talk about Heath Ledger's Joker, which is an amazing performance,
Yeah.
but this right here is the epitome of some men just want to watch the world burn. A man had an agenda. He was willing to die for his agenda and did die for his agenda
He
and
planned to die,
accomplished.
not willing. He planned
Yes,
to die.
yes. Like he says, the only way I live is if this shit don't work. You feel me? And a motherfucker went out that bitch and ruined the lives of so many people, bro. The movie ends with Detective Mills being put off in a car and hauled off. And Detective Somerset, they're telling him, you know, we'll take care of him. And I think he decided that he wasn't going to retire. He said, I'll be around. You know, and
No.
it ends with the quote. He says, I can't remember who the fucking quote was by, but a motherfucker said the world is a fine place and worth fighting for. And I agree with the second part. End scene, cut to credits.
Which is a fire way to end the movie.
Bro, like he's literally saying this
Before
world
we
is shit, bro, but
before
it's
we
worth fighting
sum
for.
before we sum everything up, I just want to dive further into Brad Pitt's acting again, just one more time. When he finds out or is finding out that his wife's head is in this box, his from his face to how his
Roots.
hand trembles with the
Morgan
gun in his
Freeman
hand,
didn't have to
like,
say anything. He just literally kept asking him and he wouldn't answer him. Like he didn't even have to say it. That motherfucker knew that shit was there.
bro,
You feel
and
me?
you could see the pain and wrath and rage rising
He's
on his
fighting
face
with
every
himself.
single time because he raises the gun, looks
Mm-hmm.
down, looks up, looks down, puts the gun down, raises the
Screams,
gun
oh
again, and
God.
every time he does it, his face is just more crunched up and more like you can
For an
see the
hour
pain
and
and rage on
50
his face,
minutes of
bro.
this movie, he has been an obstinate dickhead whose only motivation is anger to get what he wants. Now he is having to fight with his own emotions to not do the thing that is human nature. You have killed my pregnant wife, severed her head, and put it in a box in order to fuck with me. And you have been taunting me for this entire week straight with all of these people, bro. Like, you're not getting away with this. But in actuality, yes, he does get away with it because you fucked it off, you know?
I ain't gonna lie, I'm surprised he didn't do more. Like, he dumped the whole clip, yes, but like pistol whip that bitch nigga, bro. Like, hear him cry out in pain, at
Bro, it
least
has
before
been
you take his life.
in every topic that has ever discussed this, it has been said to death. But you never even have to see the decapitated head of Gwyneth Paltrow in this movie to feel the impact of that scene.
Oh, I was fucked up,
They
bro.
never show you nothing in the box. He
They just
opens
show
the
everyone
fucking
else's
box.
reaction to
Yeah,
it.
like he's freaking out, and a motherfucker sold that bitch. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, motherfuckers have theorized that maybe that really wasn't what was in there, and all type of shit. Like, it's led to a gang of theories, and that shows the power of ambiguity in storytelling,
Yeah.
man. Like, but that shit is incredible, dog.
It
That
is
might
kind of up in
be
the air what was actually in there, yo.
Bro,
that
I,
might
I
be
didn't
one
even
of
think
the
about that.
best scenes of all of the movies that
I was
we've
about to
watched,
say,
bro.
for a movie that, like, you're not sure 10 minutes away from the ending how they're gonna tie all this together, that is an incredible way to fucking lock that bitch
Hey,
up at
one
the
thing
end, bro.
that is pretty vicious is that up till this point, Morgan Freeman, he's seen some fucked up shit, but he's usually pretty composed. This is the first time on screen they really had that man
Yes.
looking shook.
Yes.
Excellently done.
I ain't gonna
Like,
lie.
he's a
Real
nihilist for most of the movie, Luno. Like,
real quick, I
Yeah.
want to talk about my experience watching this movie. So I
this was the
don't
first
sleep
time
well.
both of y'all watched this movie, right?
That's a fact.
Yeah,
I've
for
never
me.
seen this movie. I've
All right,
seen
man.
I've seen like it pop up in different shit. Like I'm pretty sure I've seen. I think now that I think about it, I think because my parents had like we literally had like 1,000 DVDs. Like when I
Mhm.
finally left the house, like we had 4 bookshelves worth of DVDs, bro. Like we was some movie motherfuckers. So I'm pretty sure I remember seeing this there. However, uh back to what I was saying. I don't sleep well at night. So I was watching this off of like 4 hours of sleep. And so
Recently? Like,
I watched this to yesterday.
okay.
So I'm watching it. Or no, I'm sorry. I started watching it yesterday. I got an hour in. I pulled up on y'all and then I finished it today. So in the time of me finishing it today, I'm like I said, I'm off 4 hours of sleep. I
Yeah.
start falling asleep at about the 20-minute remainder mark, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I fall asleep and I wake up to Kevin Spacey on his knees and Brad Pitt holding a gun at his face. And this is while Morgan Freeman is trying to, handle the box shit or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm hearing what's going on and I'm not understanding. But I was just like, maybe it's something I can miss. Maybe I can just watch this shit. And as the scene starts to unfold, I'm like, fuck that. I rewind fast as fuck. Like, nah, I have to see what the fuck led up to this. So I go back to the 20-minute mark. And the 20-minute, like this 20-minute conclusion from pause them shaving their chest down to the end of the movie is some of the best shit that I've ever fucking seen, bro. Like the fucking writing, the acting, everything, the mood setting, like
People
it
talk
was
about twist
crazy,
endings, but
bro.
this is one of the history's greatest twist endings for a reason. I feel like,
Facts.
you know.
I legit fuck with this movie. I didn't know really anything about it prior to watching it, but like I fuck with this movie. But because
And
of the ending, I probably won't watch it again for a long time because that shit actually fucked me up.
damn, you couldn't sleep.
For
No, I
real.
can sleep. It's just like, damn, bro. Like this nigga Brad Pitt or Mills is just a regular guy, bro. Like he's just a regular officer, just trying to do his job, trying to make it along. He's in this shitty ass apartment, trying to, just be a family with his wife. And because this narcissistic, just demonic asshole decides
Motherfucker
that he want to
targeted
do
you.
some shit, target him out of nowhere, and takes his wife away from him, bro.
Bro, now he's going to prison. Like, he's going to go
I
to
don't think
prison
that's
for like a
clear.
period of time. Like,
I don't think that's 100% clear. I don't think that they made that
I
clear.
mean, I don't know what else could happen to him.
Well, for one, he wasn't in handcuffs. That's one. He was just sitting in the cop car.
Well, that's the other
just
thing. They
there.
might put him in a mental institution.
Shit, they might.
That's horrible,
I'm thinking.
bro. Like, you
I'm
really
thinking they
just fucked
might
my life off.
just
Like,
put him straight to that, but it won't be like strict. I think it'll be mostly just like therapy. You know what I'm saying? Like not solitary confinement and all that other shit. Well, just depending on how he reacts to this whole shit.
but yeah, like, and then like the ending of this movie, you know what I'm saying? The moral to the story. I'm not gonna say a moral to the story because I don't think it's like a lesson to be learned, but
It's more like a
it
theme,
leaves
right?
you with the world view. It leaves you to the world view of like how evil the world is. Like yes, it is worth
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, look, honestly, I think that it's a movie that leaves like the bad taste. You sort of just like kind of get a lot of
Fuckery, and it
gruesomeness
is
and stuff
our
like that.
job.
But I mean, at the end of the day, though, like I think what this movie was really
Of us to
basically trying to
fight the
show.
good fight
Wait,
until we leave the earth.
okay,
Yo,
he was lagging, I think.
KPL, you lagging, I
Yes.
think, bro. Like,
Was I?
yeah, like we was only hearing bits and pieces of what you were saying. It was just weird. I don't know.
It's all right, man. I don't think I could duplicate that monologue if I wanted to.
One thing I was actually thinking, I think the only thing that would have made this ending better is so like at the beginning of it, right in the opening scenes, in which I usually skip old opening scenes of older movies because they're long as fuck.
Yeah,
but I didn't notice it until like the last 30 seconds of it being up. It was a guy, that was doing a bunch of writing, but he was also like shaving off his fingertips with a fucking box blade. I think the only thing that would have made this more fire is you go to a scene of Brad Pitt just in this room by himself with a box cutter taking his fingertips off. I think that's the only thing.
The cycle.
Exactly. Even if there's no sequel, I think that would have been that's the only thing that could have made this shit
would have been wild. Like you create more monsters, you know what I'm saying? Like that would have been insane.
Hurt people, and then they go and hurt people. You know what I'm saying? Like some shit like that.
Yep.
But
that more or less, I want to say that the criminal was the centerfold of this film, Like everything.
I was gonna say that earlier.
Everybody's story, whoever the fuck they were in this shit, was legitimized by that man's existence, John Doe was at the center of this film in every respect, Like all my anticipation, all my hopes, all my
time totaled out to less than 20-25 minutes of the movie.
That's crazy.
My god, son! Never have I watched a movie like that,
I don't know what the fuck he got convicted for, but that nigga might have been one of them niggas.
Shit, he didn't get convicted. He died. Like, oh, you talking about Kevin Spacey?
Yeah.
Oh, Kevin Spacey. I don't know if he got convicted, but a motherfuckers was saying he was like behind the scenes fucking with little dudes and shit. You know what I'm saying?
Like midgets or like
like little. He was like at a party like with Well, I don't know if he was like at a party, but a motherfucker that like was acting in Star Trek, I know, and then other cases were like exposed later that like Kevin Spacey, had like sexual interaction with him as an underage boy.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? And so like I say, I don't know the full details of the court case, but like
I'm looking at it right now. It says Spacey was acquitted for all 9 charges against him, including 7 counts of sexual assault, 1 count of causing a person to engage in sex activity without consent, and 1 count of causing a person to engage in penetrative sexual activity without consent. So this is like all like rapey stuff, right?
Yeah.
He was acquitted of all of this shit, and this was as of July 26th of this year.
So all the trials are over, though, right?
Yeah. This shit's over. It's been over with since at least July.
Like he was, he was on House of Cards and shit, and they canceled like the last season of House of Cards, because of like that shit that he was.
How long was that on? Because I remember.
Shit,
I remember House of Cards when I was in high school.
That's what I'm saying. Like Dave Chappelle, when Dave Chappelle came back, he like had jokes about that Kevin Spacey shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he did. He had this movie here. Yeah, he had this movie here, 7. He wouldn't try to do it in real life.
That motherfucker. Crazy. But yeah, like I say, so like however you feel about a motherfucker personally as a result of all the allegations that you hear, regardless of whether you're found innocent or guilty, the court of public opinion still stands.
Right.
But like I just don't think that you can detract from a man's acting capabilities. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that was demonstrated here. Y'all have final thoughts and ratings y'all want to go through or what?
Sure.
Luno, you want to go?
Yeah. If you didn't have any other thoughts, I mean, I could just tell my rating and all that other good shit.
Yeah, final thoughts and ratings starting on you.
All right. Yeah. So basically, overall, this movie was definitely sick and twisted. But it was one of those that used like the time where they like do a slow build up and then shit hits the fan and then you're on the edge of your seat for the rest. Really good how they did that shit with the pacing, yo. I really enjoy that with movies. Personally, I'm really ADHD about them, so sometimes I want action to be happening at the start, middle, and end for me to like really get the most out of the entertainment factor. But the questions and the sort of concerns and the anticipation like kind of made this film for me. So it was like fun to actually watch overall and shit. Once I sat down, I'm like, yeah, like that was an experience, you know. But yeah, man. I thought the actors did great. At first, Brad Pitt was a little bit on the annoying side. I'm not really a fan of like the white trash douchebag like archetype, really, but he sold it well, and he also had some depth as a character. So he wasn't just like a shameless retard. He had like quite a bit of depth. So definitely was a fan of his involvement. Um, Overall, yo, I would just say that this one is probably like a classic, yo, and it's unexpectedly one of the best movies I watched. I can't really like pick at it. There was just a lot of genius in the writing, and the actors like sold it. It was almost like the story was kind of written for them in a way, which is usually what I'll say the other way around. Like I'll say, oh, this actor like plays this character really well, you know, but this time I feel like the story was like kind of written for who was there, and I thought it was super satisfying. So I gave this one here an 8.8. Definitely a really good movie.
All right, Roots, you want to go next? You want me to go?
Uh, I'm gonna go real quick, and then I gotta step off for a second.
All right.
Okay. About to
All right.
say.
So this movie was actually really great. Like I said, I knew nothing about it, but you put Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman, some of the best actors, two of the best actors in like history. You know what I'm saying? Together, you got to come out with something good, and then add, Kevin Spacey, and with this character in there, this is just it's a masterpiece, honestly. And I don't use that word ever. I've never used that word in regular conversation at all. But I think that's the only thing that you can use to describe how great this movie is, from the writing to the acting to the mood setting to just everything. The thought process behind this movie, it's thought provoking at the same time, like this, and it has comedic moments. It has a little bit of sprinkle of action, but the action is meaningful. It's not just shooting around for no reason. It's actual. It's to a point. You know what I'm saying? So like I said earlier, the only smallest issue that I had was the fact that they did not push further with that the Brad Pitt saying, and then nothing happening. You know what I'm saying? But other than that, this movie is fucking awesome. I'm gonna give it a 9.
All right, man. This movie is a slow burn psychological thriller, man. We have the little meme soundbite where Puos is talking about The Condemned, and like he's talking about this movie is grimy. It's filthy. It's disgusting. This movie is grimy. It's filthy. It's disgusting. The set piece, and like I say, it's always raining. It's in a piece of shit town, city. You know what I'm saying? All type of just disgusting body morphing bullshit. Like you're seeing people die in horrendous ways. The villain is a fucking anarchist who wants to watch the world burn and has a master plan to eliminate, people that he perceives are not content with the gift of life. This is why I could not watch the fucking Spiral movie and this movie back to back, because it is the same archetype of movie. The original Saw movie was critiqued for having thematic semblance to this movie. And I understand why.
Okay.
I don't agree with it, but you know what I'm saying? The idea of vigilante feels like he can punish people for their sins. I don't know if it was done as well as this until this. And so therefore this is the measuring stick of where all things will be measured against. Add into that the twist ending that is widely considered one of the greatest, the ambiguity of not seeing the contents of the box, which is also measured against things like Pulp Fiction and things of that nature. There's a lot of, Luno, you talked about in the beginning and at the end of the last episode that you wanted to look at things that set a metric for the genre and things around it to come. And I think that this, I feel free to correct me if you have a differing opinion, but I think that this did set the metric for a lot of things to come later in the genre of thrillers, horror movies, detective movies, and this type of thing, Zodiac and, Saw movies, etc. Like, this
Right.
shit is something that unfortunately a lot of movies will have to live with a comparison to, and it's not an easy thing to measure up to. I'm having to be a little more lenient personally because this is the second time, not the second time. This is like, I've seen this before, and I also have to remember that this was a 1995 movie, so I kind of have to give it more credit too, because it in 95, this must have been ridiculously groundbreaking. So,
Yeah.
with that being said, I originally was going to give this movie an 8. I'm going to give this movie an 8.5. And it's not like I say, I would probably give it a higher rating were this the first time of me seeing it and not having stuff spoiled for me and etc. Um, but I'm going to give it an 8.5 with the caveat that if you have never seen this movie, and I apologize, we've spoiled a lot of it, but this is still a fantastic watch that
Yeah.
you will enjoy. We talk about, I could definitely watch this with a bitch. There's that,
Most
it
definitely.
may not set a romantic mood, but it's something to engage in a good conversation with. You know. But go ahead and tally up the scores, Roots, and
Already done. So 1995, 7, Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman, we have a 8.7, man.
That's a great
8.7.
score.
Very great score. I think what contributed to it was it being only 3 of us. However, you add 2 more people to this, just
I'm about to
with
say,
how I know us and how we rate certain shit, I think everybody would. I think it might have ended up being higher.
We're right for questioning a lower amount of people giving a higher score, but the things that we've attributed that to, it's fucking Shutter Island and The Gentleman and fucking it's good quality
Really good movies, yeah.
regardless. These are movies that would have a high score. It just might differentiate by a point or two, but that's a solid ass score overall, man, and I think it's well deserved. I think it might have been higher if there were more people, low key.
Most definitely. So that's last week, but we're gonna talk about next week, man. So what's going on next week, KTL?
Do I gotta send you a picture of the movie, Roots?
Yeah, real quick.
All right, give me 1 second. I've got it pulled up here. All right, there we go. I'm gonna send it on Discord, Roots.
Okay.
So with that being said, y'all know me, man. Sometimes, actually in general, my picks are a bit outside of the box, and me being the guy that I am, man, I'm the guy that brought y'all The Condemned. I'm not afraid. So in that vein, man, scary season is getting started. We're gonna go to another WWE Films classic, man. 2006. We got See No Evil, man. Kane.
Oh my gosh, son.
Kane is running around a fucked up ass broken hotel as a fucked up mental patient and just smoking folks. And so we gonna get back in that bag, man. You know what I'm saying? I got mixed reviews on the last one, but they were overwhelmingly positive. I think we gonna go 2 for 2, man. And at some point, I'm gonna sneak all these fucking movies in. I'm warning y'all now, man. This sick son of a bitch right here, man, walking around with a fucking hook.
Real quick, I just want we'll probably talk about it more next week, but just remembering, because I think The Rock was the first person to get into acting of the wrestlers, right? But I don't remember there being Hulk Hogan, but he didn't even do this. So the constant promotion of the movie, just saying
the rollout,
the rollout thing, that wasn't a thing with Hulk Hogan and The Rock. I think Triple H was the one that started this shit of constant just just mentioning it. He's on the phone with fake agents talking about it, all this shit. He's acting like a movie star, all of this shit. But with this, the way they rolled out this shit on WWE was fire, my boy. Like that shit was cold as fuck. And it was because it was already in the vein of who Kane is as a character.
Yeah.
But they just turned it up. Like they turned it up a lot.
Bro,
And
they had 3
but I've
movies.
never seen this. I've never seen this movie.
Bro, they had 3 movies within this shit. They had The Condemned, See No Evil, and The Marine. You know what I'm saying? So they took John Cena and made him a fucking Marine killing folk. They took Kane, made him into a sick fucking monster killing folk. And they let Stone Cold be himself on an island killing folk. You know what I'm saying? So like they just leaned into what they had done with these characters.
A great synopsis of that.
You know? And like that, so like I say, I've obviously seen this movie like a few times. Like I told y'all with The Condemned, I felt like that shit, got a bad rap and shit. I feel the same here, but we'll talk about it more next week. But like my goal here is to expose motherfuckers to some shit that they might not have watched otherwise, that might not be as bad as they've been told it was,
Hey yo.
But yeah, so we're starting off scary season with a goddamn WWE movie, man. It's fucking lit. Next week we gonna be here on Friday. See No Evil, starring the current mayor of Knox County, Tennessee, Glenn Jacobs.
Hey yeah, man. Well, that's been another episode of the Real Rap Coalition podcast on the movie 7 from 1995. Y'all make sure y'all go watch that if you enjoyed watching this recap. Yes, we spoiled it. However, it's still a very, very good movie. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you have not seen this movie, I suggest you go watch it. Like, comment, and subscribe. We got a lot more content coming out, some spooky content. We got some
Y'all go watch
content coming out.
Invincible season 1 if y'all haven't already, man.
Most definitely, I might be doing that shit tonight. I don't know. If I don't do it tonight, I probably will end up doing it tomorrow. But yeah, Invincible season 2 is coming out soon.
We're
reviewing
today.
the first one.
We're gonna start reviewing that soon.
Hey, yeah, y'all pull up on Monday because Monday is when we're doing that. On Monday night at 8:00, we're gonna be going over the first episode of Gen V. You know what I'm saying? So, excuse me. So yeah, like, comment, and subscribe. We thank y'all for watching. We thank y'all for listening. Peace the fuck out.
Our 26-minute episode. Our 26-minute episode. Hey. Long ass episode. Good ass movie. Now it's WWE, nigga.